Mario Odyssey is full of creepy mysteries like the cheering man in New Donk City and the dark origins of the ruined dragon. We're going on a journey throughout Mario Odyssey looking at the creepiest things, starting with the least creepy and then moving on to full-on horror. Our first mystery is in the Lake Kingdom. This is one of the most chill places in the game, so you wouldn't expect horror to be here, but it's not actually in the game. The inhabitants here are called lochladies, and they're pretty looking mermaids. But there's this piece of concept art where they look absolutely terrifying. What the heck? I'm glad this is what they actually look like, because the other ones are downright nightmare fuel. I also find just being underwater creepy to begin with, so if I was underwater and there was also these creepy people swimming around, I would hate it. I would stop playing the game. They're not the most terrifying thing ever though, so I'm just gonna put them at a level 3. The Wooded Kingdom is kinda creepy the second you get there, because if you look around, you'll realize that you're encased inside a dome. And there's a sinister secret here that's always following you. Beneath the quiet and peaceful area on the top lives the deep forest, an area covered so deeply in trees that sunlight can barely make its way through. There's not even any music down here. There's no joy, there's no happiness. What there is, though, is a T-Rex's hunting ground. If you get anywhere close to this guy, he will chase you around and it's scary, but what's scarier here is Mario? Because this kingdom is tended to by the steam gardeners. They serve the purpose of watering all the plants and flowers in the kingdom. And because they're robots, that means every once in a while they need to recharge. So they go to the charging station and... oh my god, is that one dead? And there's a massive line to wait for charging. What's going on here? Oh, only one of the charging stations is actually working. It looks like they're being powered by some yellow goo? Wait a minute. Power moons are used as electricity in this world, and so these robots are actually charging off of power moons. But there's a small detail that's really unsettling. Mario takes the power moons to power up his Odyssey, and there's only about half power left on this charging station, which means that Mario is actively taking power away from the steam gardeners, which means eventually these guys are all going to die out, and it might be Mario's fault. That's pretty dark, but it's not really that scary, so I'm just gonna put it at level 1 of the scarometer. Bubble Lane is a luxurious and fancy resort, but on the outskirts of the beaches and in the dark depths of the water that no one dares to swim to lies something that's a ghostly trick for your eyes. Because what looks like normal and colorful seaweed is actually a boo in disguise. This is Kombu, an enemy that mimics seaweed that you can find underwater or even on land. Even on land, they wave as if they're underwater, and should you defeat them, they'll just keep coming back in endless waves, hoping to corner you and end your life. It might not seem scary at first, but if you think about living seaweed grabbing onto you and constricting your body, that is really terrifying, actually. You can also find them in the Lake Kingdom, and there's a really creepy detail about both of these places. In the Seaside Kingdom, you find them on an abandoned beach, and in the Lake Kingdom, they're hidden behind some crates. But in the Seaside Kingdom, they're not just on the beach, they're also nearby underwater, which makes me think they're spreading. So what's the deal with these crates blocking them in? I think that's actually just to stop them from spreading to the rest of the Lake Kingdom. Who knows, maybe if you give them enough time and space, they'll take over as much water as they can. That's kinda creepy. The Kombu genuinely do creep me out, so I think I have to give them a level 2 on the scarometer. The secrets do get scarier the longer the video goes on, and the next one will change how you see the ruined dragon forever. Crumbledon is empty and abandoned, and it just looks like it went through a war. All of the buildings are destroyed with huge slash marks on the ground. There are no residents to be found here, only swarms of bats seen in the distance. The ruined dragon sits atop a tower as the culprit for all of this destruction. But this isn't always what the dragon looked like. In concept art, it was depicted as far creepier. In most of the concept art, it's just different types of dragons. dragons, but there's one that stands out from the rest. Specifically in this drawing, which has it looking like a scaly godlike man. But what if I told you this isn't a god, this is actually a devil Yoshi. When you first meet the dragon, Bowser is on top of it riding it, and this is not the only time Bowser has rode on top of a dragon like this. Because in the Super Mario World manga in 1992, Bowser got control of the devil Yoshi and used it to burn down hundreds of civilians. So I think that the ruined dragon is actually a lightning version of the devil Yoshi, and the destruction of Crumbledon was most likely a massacre. We don't even know what the residents looked like, so that means that the dragon had to have killed every last one of them, including the children. That is an incredibly dark story for a game made for kids, so I'm gonna have to put this at level 4 of the Scarometer. If you thought that was creepy or you're liking this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 50k. The next secret is about the untimely demise of the Sand Kingdom residents. I always thought it was really weird that out of the entire Sand Kingdom, there's only one small town with just a few people living inside of it. So I poked around looking for answers, and I kind of wish I didn't, because what I found genuinely shocked me. Because there's far more Toasterinans in the Sand Kingdom than you see here. They're just not living. They all live at the bottom of this sinkhole, which is already creepy enough. I would go nowhere near this in real life. If you go in here after defeating Knuckle Talk and make it all the way to the end, you'll be greeted with the Toasterinen Graveyard. A graveyard where those buried don't like to stay down. Upon entering, you'll be greeted with an endless swarm of mummified Toasterinans, which are now called Chinchos. They aren't happily cheering and dancing around with maracas. No, they want to end your life. What creeps me out the most about this is how there are so few Toasterinans, but there are endless amounts of Chinchos. This makes me wonder if they were sacrificing them into the pit to appease Knuckle Talk. Maybe they were just all sucked into the sand and never seen again. That is an incredibly dark story for a game made for kids, so I'm gonna have to put this at level 4 of the Scarometer. Now it's time for the genuinely scary stuff. In the corner of New Donk City lives the legend of the Cheering Man. When looking at this spot from a distance, you can see a man jumping and cheering at seemingly nothing. But when you get close, he disappears. What's even weirder is if you look at him through binoculars, he looks a little bit distorted and his movements are unnatural. He's thought to be the ghost of a man who fell off the side during one of New Donk City's festivals, forced to live in a purgatory of endlessly cheering at nothing. This is actually really creepy, especially if this was real life, just like seeing a guy off in the distance cheering, and then when you get closer, he disappears. But even in the video game, it's pretty creepy. I'm not gonna put it at a level 5 though, I'm gonna put it at a level 4 on the Scarometer. As a game developer myself, I do know exactly what's going on here. In order to make games run smoother, a lot of times the game will make things from the distance look a little bit worse. And a lot of times when you're making a game, you try to make the world feel more alive by putting things in the background that disappear when you get closer. But the Cheering Man might have intentionally been placed there by the developers, but it's more than likely that he was just a background thing that they forgot to delete. Speaking of unintentional things in Mario Odyssey, the next secret is a glitch that's actually terrifying. Picture this, you're playing Mario Odyssey and you're having a really good time, and then you have to get off in order to do something. Maybe it's homework. But you can't remember the last time the game saved, so to be safe, you're gonna go into the menu and actually press the save button. But when the screen blurs, you notice something out of the corner of your eye. Mario has no pupils. This is an incredibly rare glitch when saving, and if this happened to me, I would turn the game off and never play it again. Especially because no one knows why this happens or how to recreate it. Anyone that's ever had it happen to them said they just went to save the game and Mario had no pupils. If this ever happens to you though, delete the game because it might be haunted. I tried a few times to get this to work myself, but I couldn't get anything to happen, but this is really creepy. This has to be a level 5. It is terrifying looking, and it's even worse because Mario looks so happy, but his eyes look so dead. It's so creepy. The cheering man isn't the only scary thing in New Donk City, because there's something going on in the city hall that is very, very sinister. On the bottom floor, Pauline is performing, everyone's dancing and having a good time, but if you venture all the way to the top and enter this door, you'll see something that is really weird. Because what looks like a massive building with tons of floors is actually completely hollow on the inside. There's not even anyone in here, it's just creepy and abandoned. There's signs of construction in here, yeah, but I have a theory about what's really going on in New Donk City. People have pointed out over the years that the residents of the Metro Kingdom look like humans, but they don't exactly act like them. But we have empty buildings, cheering guys disappearing out of nowhere, and taxis with nobody in them just driving around in endless circles. This makes me think that all of the other buildings are just as empty, and that the New Donk City residents are not what we think they are. I don't know what they are, but they're definitely not human. They really try to look like a human, dress like a human, and act like a human, but there's just things about them that are not correct. The more I think about it, the more it creeps me out, but I'm just gonna put this at a level 3. I have a feeling that this next thing, though, is going to be a level 5. The scariest thing in Mario Odyssey isn't a seaweed monster. It isn't the ruined dragon. It isn't the possessed-looking Mario. It's actually everywhere around you. Because almost every single kingdom has a very unsettling and liminal feeling background. And a lot of the time, the entire kingdom is surrounded by a giant endless void. Like the Cap Kingdom. It's kind of spooky on its own, but if you look at the background, you're surrounded by all of these different houses, and they have a really weird and strange look to them. The creepiest part to me is when you look over towards this area and see the Cascade Kingdom. The way everything fades out and all the details are very small, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And to make it worse, you're surrounded by a giant pit of fog. A lot of the creepiness comes from just how empty it looks compared to how vibrant and packed the rest of the game is. Like the Mushroom Kingdom is happy and fun and joyful, but if you look at the outside, it's just empty fields with occasional trees, and it just has a really weird vibe to it. In New Donk City is the same thing. Aside from a few cars driving on the road, you see all of these buildings, but you don't see actual people moving around, and it just makes you feel like everything is empty. And the outside of the Snow Kingdom are just walls holding you in. It gives you this very strange, isolated feeling, like you can't ever escape where you are. Especially this room. If this was real life, you couldn't pay me any amount of money to come here. The creepiest one to me, though, is the darker side. Just seeing all of this space and emptiness with one tall building in the middle and nothing else around it. Oh my god, that's so creepy. I'm gonna give the liminal backgrounds a level 5 on the scarometer, but we need to determine what the scariest thing is in Mario Odyssey. I definitely think out of all the stuff we saw today that the scariest thing is the saving glitch Mario without any pupils. That genuinely looks like a creepypasta, but it's actually in the game. Let me know which of these you thought was the creepiest, or if you found anything scary in Mario Odyssey yourself. But if you want to watch more videos about scary mysteries and games, I have a video where I checked out the creepiest mysteries in Mario Kart World.